Oh, hi everyone. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. I'm excited to be here with everybody again in 2024. Tommy Hawksblood has lived in Hawaii, where I began a major part of my spiritual journey, and he's been doing shows with Tina Bird in this spot with me and for me in our group, our Ascension Center at ACO and Alien Contact for many years, but at least since we had COVID 19, and I'll let him talk about his past. But today we're introducing our spiritual talk shows with Tommy Hawksblood and myself, TJ Morris, also known as Theresa J. Morris. So, Tommy has been doing audio video content with me since 2012, and he helped with events. He's an event planner. He got started in New Jersey and he moved via the US here and there after a large career in communications to Hawaii, where he retired, and he is helping us get along in our spiritual journey. And we're going to talk about spiritual journey today. And Tommy Hawksblood, why don't you introduce yourself since you've had this spot for many years? And we'll continue today with a new series.
Thank you, TJ. All right, greetings, everybody. The show that I was doing had to be terminated, not because we wanted to. TJ, you know all about her, but the people out there, she's been very sick. Her brother just had a stroke. The family's having real hard grief and stuff. So playing in the UFO world is not a good thing for her right now, considering there's ships over her house every night and all kinds of things are happening. But she's in the hospital every couple of weeks, so she's got a hard thing going on. But her book came out a couple months ago. It's selling worldwide right now. It's. I'll just show you real fast. I mean, she just put it out, The Bonded, and it's all about her experience. If you want to know about abduction, the real part of it, which the UFO world doesn't talk about. But I've been dealing with that for the past 15 years now, mainstream, because about 22 years ago, I lectured with somebody for about 6 years. We lectured all over the United States. But in the interim, my spiritual quest was always more important than the UFO side of everything I do. So I just released my fifth book 2 days ago. I'm working on rewriting my fourth book. But my journey started when I was little. What I want to get into today, which is probably the most important thing, is why start a spiritual path. I mean, are you willing and ready to do it? Now, there's so many things you got to consider if that's what you truly want to do. The first thing is make sure it's something you truly want to do, because it's just like anything else. You got to learn a lot of things to keep going forward. Now, for me, when I was 6, I was forced to go to church every Sunday. But by the time I was 14, I already was baptized uh, as a Protestant. But I challenged the minister at the time, and he couldn't answer my questions. And they said, why am I in a path that they can't even answer the questions? So I got into a lot of different things. I was a high priest for about 6 years almost. I was doing hypnosis from the time I was 14. Went from hypnosis into psychic implant removals to past life regression. And please, people, I was one of the first people to do that. I named it past life regression when I was like 19. I know somebody really elderly who died who claimed she created it and all that, but it was many years after. But basically, I learned a lot, and I'm a rebel. So if you want the truth, that's the only thing I will talk about. I'm not into bringing stories, other people's stories that I know are lies or fairy tales. I'm a rebel, and you'll find out as you listen to the show. Truth only is my motto, and I'm only responsible to God, period. So that's the way I focus on my life and what I do. So my new book is for women, How to Survive in This World. But my book before that was The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. And I think that's a very important book. People aren't ready to take a step forward. To start a spiritual path, you have to be willing to let go of everything you know. All the things you've been programmed with for years and years and years are in your consciousness, and it's not easy to let go of that. So when you say, I'm going to do something, it's just like if you're going to give up smoking, give up drinking. whatever. It takes commitment and it takes willpower. And if you're not ready to commit to it, you won't do it. So the spiritual truth and foundation is probably the hardest thing you can learn on this planet. All right, because it goes outside the body, it goes outside the mind, it goes outside your own reality, and you're introduced into a whole different dimension and realms, which are incredible once you start experiencing it. But it's not like you just jump from here to there. There's the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, and there's steps all along the way, which we'll go into one at a time. Uh, whether you have time to do it or not in the lifetime that we have left, or what's going to happen to the planet, that's a different story. But the main thing is to make a commitment today, tomorrow, or when you really feel like you're ready. You might not be ready. And I feel sorry for you, but I can't do anything to help you to make that decision. And if you're ready, we're going to go into things you probably won't accept right away. We'll give you techniques to work with to prove things to yourself. All the things you ever heard that you probably don't believe in are real. That's where we'll start. Ghosts, demons, entities, Satan, all those words are real. I mean, aliens are real. But just because you didn't see them or experience them, it doesn't mean they're not real. But the problem is most people will come up and say, well, it can't be real. I said, why? Well, I didn't see it. You're one person in 8 billion people. And 8 billion people is a lot of people. And most of them, now we can break the numbers down, is 2.5 billion Christians, 2.2 billion Muslims. And then there's 2,000 religions to split that among all the rest. All right, Hinduism's big now. It's getting bigger and bigger because more people are turning away from God, which I'm sorry if that's your point. I don't think you really need to be part of my truth because the only thing that truly matters is understanding God. Because when people think they're God or can create the world and do all these things, we can dream all we want. But look at our reality. Look at where we're going. Tina, did you want to talk? Or you want to follow through from where I'm at right now?
No, I'm listening. I was just going to say thank you for joining in the comment section. Anybody that's on our Facebook or our YouTube channel, I just thought I'd add that so you could see it. And I'm not sure how much you can see over there, Tommy.
I can see
But
everything.
oh, you can. Good. Okay, good. Well, that's
So
good to know. So we
I'm
are.
looking at everything. It's just like I'm on with you, which I am. So people, now the emails, TJ's emails there. Oh, guess who's here? But you need to put yourself in a place where you can get in touch with us if you have any questions. I'm open all the time. I answer all my questions sooner than later, but I do answer them good, bad, or indifferent. I don't turn anybody away. I'll give them the satisfaction of talking to them at least. I'm in a couple of UFO worlds still, and they're all hitting me over the head right now. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's dust. Oh, that's this. That's why I'm not putting pictures up anymore. Plus, the person I work with copyrighted everything we did. I can only show him privately, and if I go publicly, he can sue me. And I found out there's so many laws on copyrights. It's crazy. 60 years after you die, a photograph could still be under your own copyright, and nobody could touch it. Music's a little different, but we're not going to go into that. Greetings. So here's the thing, people. You have to start somewhere. And are you willing to take a step forward? Now, go ahead, Tina. Sorry, TJ.
Oh, my sister came on here, so just to say hi. Hi,
Greetings.
Brenda.
Hi, Tommy.
How are you?
I'm good. I have to go away now. I don't want you to leave.
Questions? Any
Okay,
questions?
did you want to ask Tommy a question, Brenda, about the new show?
What are y'all going to talk about?
Starting a spiritual path, where it leads, and how to get further down the road. All right. And there's multiple steps, multiple things you really need to do. And it's important that you make a commitment because as we take these steps and things happen, I mean, the first time you ever step out of your body will be the most incredible experience you ever had. All right. And that's a starting point. Remote viewing is one thing, which is evil. Astral projection is what we need to learn, but you don't project yourself in somebody else's house. So there's a lot of laws that pertain to this reality. And the first most important spiritual law, which everybody ignores, especially in the UFO world, is the law of non-interference. You have no right to interfere in anybody else's space until they invite you into it. All right. So when we go out and, oh, I'm going to make you this, you can't. It's not, if they ask you, can you help me? That's a different story. Now, psychics, no offense to anybody, a psychic works with a person's energy. Now, a person usually doesn't call a psychic unless they trust the person or want to trust the person. And when they work with that person opens up to whoever the psychic is. And that allows the psychic to use their energy to heal them. Nobody on this planet's a healer. They can claim all these things. They're using energy and just feeding it back to where it comes from. And we all have ability. Jesus never took credit for anything he did. And he would say to them, by your own truth, you were healed. Not by his. He didn't claim it. He didn't go around preaching, I'm a God, I'm this, and he never said that. Never said that once. So all the stories that men create, and it's always men rewriting a story to fit their self and their ego. So it's not going to be easy. The path gets hard.
Let me take Brenda off and I'll bring you back. There we go. Thank you, Brenda, for joining us. She didn't really want to be here. Now, John's here with us and someone apparently that's with you a lot, but Brenda didn't want to be on. So she's in the back in the green room, so to speak, people. But
stay in the chat room.
She'll always be here in spirit. She has a lot of faith and she supports us. But she wanted to come listen to what Tommy was going to share. This is our first in a series. So we're just going to have a spiritual talk and see where that takes us. So Tommy's got some ideas, Brenda and John and Tina, tinfoil hatter. I'd like to know who that really is.
You don't know who that is?
Do you?
My time, I've been on the radio or internet for a long time. So have you. I don't bring a lot of people into my show because people don't want the truth. In the UFO world, all they want to follow is famous people. All the people from Ancient Aliens who know very little about the UFO world, they're out there making tons of money on it, even though they know nothing about it. They'll say, well, I think. I don't want to hear I think. I'm not here going to tell you I think it's a good path or this is right. I'm telling you what I know is the truth, period. And I'm accountable. I'm accountable to God, period, for that too. Nobody else, not the president, not the vice president, not the Pope, not Dalai Lama, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, any of those names. No, they're all like, to me, they're just steps down. Not one of them can talk about a God, which is scary. So when we have the new world order, one thing, then we have the new age, which is believing in universal consciousness. It's the biggest thing. It's an offshoot of Buddhism. All right. And it's basically, well, there's no God, it's just one consciousness. Well, and I'll just tell you my viewpoint real quick. If I'm going to be part of a sick consciousness, I'd rather be taken out of reality completely. To be part of a sick reality, meaning what goes on this planet. All right. I don't know if you all heard of Dante's Inferno. Well, he talks about the levels of hell. Everything he explains about hell in that book is exactly where we are right now. Being frozen, being burnt, and all those kind of things. After you leave this body, when you step out of it, none of those things can affect you. You can't chop up a spirit, cut them in half, burn them up, blow them up. You can't do any of those things to it. So he was right on about giving the idea of what hell is, meaning on planet Earth, not in the astral plane. And then there's many worlds beyond that, but they all get better. And until you experience that, you're going to be hung up on what keeps you here. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about, because you have to eliminate those things first. Because if you're attached to anything here, you're never going to want to leave. Meaning you're going to reincarnate over and over. Even though when you reincarnate, you don't remember much. There's a few people being born with awareness of their past life. But Christianity doesn't believe in it. So they're not even allowed to believe in it. Some people do, sneaking into their reality. Oh, I believe in reincarnation. All right. But to prove it is the first step on a spiritual path. All right. Knowing you can step out of your body. Knowing what you are as a soul. Not this body, but what it really is when you leave it. This body's going to die. The maximum you got right now is 125 years. Aliens live a lot longer. So you can reincarnate and come back as an alien and live for 500 years if that's what you'd rather do. But truthfully, no alien race deals with God. All right? They play God to all the beings. They play with the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians. All right? All the native tribes. The native tribes believe they work with the star beings, which were the Greys, and they know very little. All right? So, and then they talk about working with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's no spiritual being either. People, like I said, you're going to take all these things you know and you're going to have to squeeze them together and then just throw it away. Because if you hold on to them, you're never going to be able to accept that you're a lot more than you are. Not, quote, oh, I can get a better job, I can get a better house, I can go out and get all those kind of things. It's not about that. And all the speakers make it sound like the thing that's most important is getting a good job. All right. And I quote Jesus not because he was God, because he said the most incredible, important thing for this reality right now. And this is something I'll repeat it over and over. And he said it 3 times in the Bible alone. And I'll get into that whole story in the next couple of workshops we do, lectures, whatever. But he said it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Why would he say that? And why would he say it more than once? All right? Because it is important. Rich people get more money and they pull further away from reality and helping it. Even though people like Musk, every day I'm going to save the planet, I'm helping the world. But he does zero. He's playing games on the internet half of the day. All right? And I write 10 letters to him a day. I write 10 letters to Trump a day. I write a lot of letters to the people from Ancient Aliens. All right? I said, talk about the truth. Talk about what you could do if you wanted to. You want to help the planet? Help it. Now, even people like Gates, one of the richest people on the planet, he was buying up all the farms so people couldn't get cows to eat. So his new plan is to convert cows so they don't fart. He believes farting is destroying the universe. So, money and brains don't go together. I mean, one doesn't make the other one better.
Well, you're certainly entertaining, that's for sure.
And it sure doesn't make them spiritual. All right. But Musk goes, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in love? I mean, he asked questions. I said, okay, you got an answer. Is it going to help you? You're not with your wife anymore. I said, love is forever. Love doesn't die, doesn't ever change. If it's true love. But you have to know what you're loving in the first place, which is God. So, the concepts were perverted. Jesus didn't come here to teach everybody to love each other in marriage. You have to love God first, then yourself. And then you can love other people. But it's a lot of learning and programming and re-unlearning what you know.
Well, it depends on the cultures you're born in, too. And so you and I are considered Americans, even though we've discussed our spirituality choices. But you were off on a spiritual journey that involved a lot of your Native American after you were born in New Jersey and found out different. I don't know if you did your genealogy or just spoke with your mother, but you took a major turn into firewalking and then studying with various people. And then it led you over to Hawaii. But I'd like to hear about your own spiritual journey since this is our first series of spiritual talk.
There's a starting point for everything. And sometimes you're not asked, you don't ask to start it, or you don't volunteer. It just is forced on you. Mine was forced on me. It didn't start any way I wanted. All right, I was 6 years old when my whole life changed completely. All right, and it started not in a spiritual way. My brother and I were both having our tonsils taken out. We were in New Jersey, in Jersey City, in the hospital, and we were both going to have our tonsils out, and we were in this room. He was on one side, I was on the other, and there was another person in our room in the other corner. And we were all young. We were all having our tonsils out. And I hate to say this, Bill Cosby was like my idol at that time.
Yeah.
He did a song about tonsils, and then he goes, ice cream, we're going to get ice cream, like after you have your tonsils taken out. You don't want ice cream because you're throwing up blood. But again, that night, the person across the room from me, I didn't know his name. I don't know people's names very good. But we were talking, and all of a sudden, I guess it was around 12 midnight, We weren't having our tonsils taken out till early morning. So the other boy was talking to me, and my brother's in his crib by this other window on the opposite side of the room. He stands up, runs back to the back of his crib screaming, Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. And I look over, and we were in cribs because when you're little, they have these pull-up bars on the side of you so you don't fall out and all those kind of things. Well, I jumped over it, and I ran over to the window, and there was a beam of light shooting in, hitting my brother. And there was a giant ship out there. Don't ask me how I knew and what I did and everything. I just took my hands, put them on the glass, spread them apart, and stood in front of the beam so it didn't hit my brother. And all of a sudden, the ship shot right back out into space. I mean, I had no clue why, how, or what. I didn't even know what it was. But I was 6 years old. That's how it started. But from then on, it changed completely because now, all of a sudden, I'm working with a deity. I don't know if you know what a deity is. The first religion on this planet, Hinduism, worked with deities. And we call them gods now, but they weren't called gods then. They were called deities. Super beings that came down and worked with people. All right. At that time, I was working with a deity from the time I was 6 to the time I was 25, and I didn't know who it was. All right. My mother didn't know anything about it. Nobody did. I mean, in the late 50s into the 60s, nobody knew nothing about anything. They knew the Bible, they knew whatever religion they were in, but they didn't know nothing about spiritual truth. To them, the Bible was the truth. Whatever words are in there, that's the truth, even though they don't know what it means, what it meant, who wrote it. Now, God didn't come down and write anything. So basically, God, we're in God's image. Who wrote that? All right. All the ideas came from man and man's twisted ideas of what he could perceive. Now, when Jesus was teaching the people he worked with, I don't want to use fishermen, horseshoe makers, and things like that, but no college, no schooling, couldn't read. So out of all Jesus's disciples, only 2 of them could read and write. So I'm not going to go into that in detail. I'll get into the reasons behind that later on. But I'm going to keep going. So by me being when I was young, this deity was coming to me. She was teaching me about the inner worlds already, showing me the levels of soul when it leaves the body and the places it can go. There's many places you can go in the astral plane, and that's the first place you go when you leave this body. Everybody, anybody that dies goes to the astral plane unless they stay here, which means they become a ghost or a spirit that's stuck here. So when people say, I'm working with my father, my uncle, my brother, my sister, if they're still here, they didn't attain spiritual awareness enough to stay in the astral plane or even get there. All the people that are filming ghosts and spirits now, they're stuck souls. They never got to get into heaven, or whatever you want to call it. The astral plane is the right word, but they call it heaven. So when you leave this body for the first time, if you're afraid and you see fear and all those kind of words, it slowly leaves you again. And it might not ever come back to you in this lifetime. Soul grows by being aware and opening up to it. So when you say you're doing a meditation and you decide, I want to go further than that, and all of a sudden you're standing outside your body. Oh my God, I'm stuck. I'm going to get stuck here. You'll be pulled back in your body. But let me tell you this, and it's things you have to know and really should know. When you step out of your body, everybody on this planet has a spiritual guide. At least one. And you could have 2. You could have more, but the maximum usually is 2. All right. And they'll be with you whenever you need them. But after years and years and years of ignoring them, you think they want to hang out and wait for you to say hello? So it's a lot harder. We could talk about the civil cord, but not right this second. But as the time goes by, all right, you lose contact with them. They lose contact with you. Now realize, I mean, people talk about Gabriel and Michael, 2 angels, 2 fallen angels. And then they talk about Lucifer, another high spiritual fallen angel. Satan dwells here. Lucifer dwells on the astral plane. Big difference. I'm not going to go into those details, but they're things that you'll understand or have to understand to get further down the road. And then the other thing is when you leave your body, when something comes to you, you have to know how to challenge it. Demons and entities are all over this world trying to suck people into their truth. And most people see the difference between an entity, they can change form into whatever they want you to see them as. Oh, he wants to see Jesus. Oh, he wants to see Moses. Oh, he wants to see Peter Pan. Whatever it is, they'll come to you in that image. And then those people believe that's who they saw. But realize there's a way to challenge that. And just say, oh, he's a good person. He has to be good. No. Saint, I don't know if you ever watched an exorcism. The original movie, The Exorcism, was a real story, but it wasn't a girl. It was a boy. 2 people died trying to do that exorcism. One of my best friends on this planet in the United States is one of the top exorcists in the United States. But we don't agree on aliens, but he's really good at what he does. All right. But when that happens, people's protection is not there. Their parents have no protection against it either. And that's why an entity can jump from the son, daughter to the mother, from the mother to the child. And then people don't want to talk about that. How many people? When was the last time you heard somebody talk about the protection against demons and entities? On TV, on the radio, anywhere. All right? They're afraid to. You can't be afraid of things either, which you'll learn. I mean, death is probably the most important thing if you're prepared for it. If you're not prepared for it, it's the worst thing that could happen because you're going to just start all over and not even know that you were here. Soul is eternal, meaning it will never be destroyed, doesn't have to be recreated. But it reincarnates here many times until it learns how to move into a different body. Rather than moving into a human body, it moves into an astral body. Rather than the astral body, the mental body. And then the etheric body. And it moves into different bodies as it unfolds. But you have to do things to get past the next realm as well as you do here.
Well, when did you leave your body for the first time? Was it at 25?
No. I left it a lot when I met my angel or the deity that I was working with. But I didn't know what it was at the time.
What age were you?
Green Tara. All right. When I went to work with a Tibetan master that I was working with, and the first thing he said to me, "Do you know who you're working with?" I said, "No." Tara.
What age were you?
25.
Oh, you were 25. Wow, that's really young.
But the first experience I had, I was with my second wife, sorry. And she took me to an Eckankar meeting. All right, it's a religion now. It took her almost a year to let me go because I was doing hypnosis and everything else. And she was, oh, I don't know if they'll let you come in with that. I don't know if you're this. And finally she said, okay, I guess you can come to class with me. And I went. And this is the most important thing that happened in my life at the time. So I went in this room, and there was 13 people in this class sitting around, one lady talking. And then she goes, we're going to do a spiritual exercise. And in my mind, I said, what the is a spiritual exercise? I'm doing my spiritual exercise. I had no clue. So all of a sudden, okay, and one person close your eyes. I was ready to close my eyes, and then I heard, and you hear that by 13 people. And I'm like, what the frick are they doing? So I'm listening, and then I started cracking up, and I had to stop myself laughing so loud I had to stop biting my tongue. So after a while, my tongue was so sore I had to stop laughing. And then I said, oh, well, what could go wrong now? So I just stopped laughing and closed my eyes. And at that moment, it was, and I'll show you how it happened to me. It was like somebody went, and it pushed my head down. And I'm like trying to fight my head from going down. Like somebody's standing there pushing down on my head. And I'm, let go of my head. And then I was like that. And then I was standing right there in front of myself, looking at myself and all the people in the room. I'm like, right? At that point, and I'm just telling my experience, it's not going to happen the same for everybody. But the ceiling opened up, and this ball of light came down through it. And I went like this. like I did when I was a little kid when I saw that light. But I was taken and I was shown the next 10 years of my life. So, and then I was brought back, standing in front of myself, and I looked at everybody. They were all still chanting that sound. And then bang, I was back in my body. It's called out-of-body experience. But when you have it, it changes your reality to a point where you understand that it's real and that it's happened and it can happen for you and become part of you, which it did. So in the interim of all that, my wife at the time was glad that I came, and I was said, I'm really appreciate you to actually let me come. I stayed in that religion for 20 years. I studied native teachings and I stayed with a medicine woman for 26 years, but I still stayed in Eckankar. All right. But it started becoming a weight on my shoulders.
What age was that you left?
25, 35, 40, probably 45, somewhere around there.
You stayed in New Jersey that whole time, your location?
I stayed in 40 until I was in the phone company 20 years, and I left when I was, let's see, in 2004, when I left New Jersey. But getting back to that point, when I was going through all this with my wife at the time and everything, I was studying native teachings, and I was doing something called, I don't know if you understand it or not. We did sweat lodges every month. You do your prayers in a teepee with flames in it and heat and all that. And I was doing moon ceremony with one of the highest medicine women in the United States at the time. I made it to 4th level. Men can't go past 4th level. That's prejudice to me too, but men are only allowed to go to 4th level if they can make it to that level. So I stayed in, made it to 4th level. I started being able to be a teacher in the Apache Nation doing the Mohawk Walk, which is a healing thing as well. So it was incredible things I was going through at the time. I could go into all the stories, but they take you different ways and what I experienced, what I learned. You're not going to learn everything, and you're not going to be able to put it all together right away either. When you're taking out of your body, what you experience is going to be like hard to relate to the physical reality. The same as when you have a death experience. I listen to everyone I can, and very few of them have a clue what really happened. Oh, I met Jesus. I met my father, and they told me to come back. That's not what happened. It's all their mind can perceive. They perceive whoever they want to see. Their mother, their father, Jesus, God, whatever they want to see, they're going to see that. Because that's all the mind could ask them to describe God. Ask them to describe. And just know what books say. Jesus wasn't white. He didn't have blue eyes. So, I mean, the concept that's programmed in most people are totally wrong. So when you start seeing things that, oh, that's not right, it is right. What you think is right is wrong. And I'll give you techniques to work with because you got to understand God. You got to understand what you don't know about God and all those other aspects.
You want to explain the silver cord that's being mentioned in the chat room?
I knew about the silver cord when I was, 19? Oh, no, sorry. No. I guess I was closer to 25 when I knew what it was. But Shirley MacLaine put out a movie called Out on a Limb. She was the first person to go public on TV about
with the silver cord. Yeah, so we had a vision of it.
By the silver cord. But I mean, I could go into that, but let me just get to this point. She was explaining how when she left her body, right, out of her body, the silver cord is what keeps a body connected to their soul. And it's called the silver cord because it only goes to the astral plane. And it doesn't stretch further than that. Meaning you can't go past the astral plane if you have your silver cord attached to you. But it's also going to pull you back into your body no matter what happens. People today don't talk about it. Very few people even know that it's there. And they say, well, I went through all these planes. You can't get to these other planes. You can't get past the astral plane until you meet the gods of that realm. So there's a lot of things, but the silver cord is important. But I'll tell you one thing. I studied with this medicine woman 26 years. We used to debate and fight over it many years, and I gave up fighting with her. She said,
excuse me, Tommy, I've got to move over. I'm falling off. Hold on just a second. I had to get me a Kleenex for my eyes for some reason sitting here looking at this.
So
It's because of my
silver
eyes.
cord
Now,
needs to be removed. All right.
sorry.
And you don't just get a scissor and cut it and say, I'm free of my silver cord, because then you'll go spiraling into the astral plane and never come back. All right. And there's like dimensions there where you don't want to go, especially when you're not aware of what you're doing. It's about learning how to travel. If you're going to travel around the country, you learn how to get on a plane and what you got to do when you get there and find out who's going to take you where. The same when you go into the astral plane. It's like being dropped off out of a plane in the middle of the jungle in Africa. What do? I don't know. Look for food. Look for water. I mean, again, it's a new reality. And you don't just step into it. When we go into the part about the silver cord, when you leave your body, don't start looking for it or anything. Wait until you get used to leaving your body. But when I say when you leave your body, that's when you really have to look for your guides. You don't want to travel by yourself when you're just learning how to do it. And they're there. And they will be there. So if you tell yourself and believe that, it can happen much easier than if you don't believe it. Well, say, I want to see God, but I don't believe there's a God. It makes it 10 times harder to even try to see it. So when you open up your mind and say, okay, I'm going to be able to accept that. I'm going to try to accept it. It opens a doorway. The old saying, the door opens in and you're pushing on it to go out. So you're never going to get out. You got to sit back and let it open. So when you leave your body, when you step out of it, I'm not going to go into those techniques and things that you can do when you're doing that, but be prepared to be eaten by something, good or bad. I said there's entities, there's deities, there's all kinds of different things. And they all like taking control of a person's body or programming it. All right. And we'll go into, like I said, there's so many things we got to take step by step. And then you could start piecing them together for yourself. But until you have a bunch of pieces to put together, it's going to be useless. When I listen to these shows, all these people charging $4,000 for a workshop, and you're going to be this and that and everything when you're done. What are you going to be? Poorer. I mean, if you're a millionaire, you're not going to be. But if you're just striving to get all this money to pay for I'm going to go out and get a good job. Well, you can do that without paying for it. You have to make a commitment. You want a better job? Then look for a better job. You don't say, God, give me a better job. All right? It doesn't make things happen. God's not a welfare case. God doesn't give everybody because they want it. I mean, the story of what God would give you anything. What father wouldn't give their son anything they want? Most fathers. I couldn't even get a bicycle. I couldn't get a lot of things when I was young. Never mind being beat up. So don't say, oh, your father will give you everything you want. No, they won't. They can't give you protection. And that's the most important thing a child needs to know and have. My book is human. Go ahead. Sorry.
So at 40 was a turning point in 2004. Is that what I'm hearing on your spiritual path? Because
no, it just means I left New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I traveled out west. I was in California. I was in Oregon. I was in Washington.
Did you study anything there? Mushrooms or microdosing?
See, I'll talk about drugs, not now, but
okay.
I'll tell you. It's something you could do once or twice. Don't be addicted, because people that start getting into ayahuasca keep doing it every month and things like that. It's easy, like getting drunk. Why do people get drunk every week and everything? Because it takes them away from reality. You have to understand where you are. You're in reality. It's not a dream. So why would you need to get drunk to get out of your dream? Just dream different. It's a reality, people. It's not a dream.
So you feel like hallucinogenics are anything to do if well, I eat shiitake, but they're dry and we get them at Costco in a bag. I guess I don't know if they're processed or not. Shiitake mushrooms.
Okay, that's okay.
But I guess they're okay. But I never got overdosed on mushrooms, although this last weekend when we went camping, we took a chance on some. I've never done, just out of the field. But Brenda and Jim had a book and we checked them out, and they were some kind of little puff mushrooms. I don't know if you've seen them with little speckles on them. They're really cute. So we cooked them and ate them. They were pretty good. So we didn't die, but we didn't get anything from them. So, just because people do drugs, you think it's strictly to leave. You don't think it's experimental, just as long as you don't kill yourself. Or are they against the law? Certain ones.
Well, ayahuasca is against the law. It's not accepted unless you go to these foreign countries. People do fly to the country to go through a weekend, go to ayahuasca ceremonies and stuff. I have a friend in Costa Rica. He wants me to come up there and lead ayahuasca classes. I said, I'm not going to do it. So why would I want to teach him how to do it? Because you have to leave your body to be with them. I'm not going to be with a bunch of people when I'm not in control of my own body.
Yeah.
See, hallucination plays with your mind. Everything in your imagination floats around in there. I did LSD once, not LSD. It was called Purple Haze from Jimi Hendrix was out. It was a 4-way tab. I took it. I was spaced out for 3 days.
Ooh.
Hallucinating and everything else.
So you won't do it anymore, huh?
No, there was no
drugs
to do it. But again, people that do drugs have a great time. And a great time is not why you're here on Earth. See, like I said, the closer you get to the truth, the harder it is, and the less you're really going to want to hear it. Would you want to hear? I'm going to break it down real fast. You're not going to be a male or female in the higher realms. You're not going to be having sex either. So a lot of those things, men don't want to hear it, and they don't want to say, "Well, I don't want to be a nobody in it. I want to be able to have sex." Well, after the astral plane, it doesn't happen, people. So all these ideas, like I know people I could debate in a second, but claiming that Kundalini energy and all those Kama Sutra things are Hinduism was all about sex. The deities came down, they were having sex with people, and it was all sexual, everything.
Hinduism? Is that what you said?
Yep. The first religion on the planet.
Really?
Shiva and Durga, that basically everything they taught was sex. They weren't doing anything more different. Or different.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Ask Janet, she knows all about it. All right. That's what she teaches. Remember we were going to do our UFO conference and she wanted to have a week of whatever.
Well, Tantra has different words and different meanings these days in Hollywood, but in India, and then what you teach on, there's many, many people for very good reasons. They teach it all over the world in different levels.
Because sex into people's mind is the best, highest spiritual you can attain here, which is a lie. All right. Sexual energy is intense. Tell me, why do you have sex? Because of the cheap moment of that cheap thrill of the climax or building up to it. All right. Kundalini just makes it last longer. Kama Sutra, the whole thing. But it's only energy. Energy isn't God, and it doesn't make you God, but it makes you feel incredible. So when you increase your energy, all right, I'm in God's world. It's bliss for a word, but on planet hell. All right.
Well, after 40, I'm sure you've had lots of sex prior to 40. What happened on your spiritual path after 40?
Well, the truth is, I'm not
to Hawaii sooner or later.
Well, I'm living. There's 3 different paths of Buddhism, and one of them doesn't believe in sex. So guess what? I'm in a different world. I gave it up. All right. Because I had to. All right. But here's the thing. I don't want to stay in that vein too much because sex is important for most people. Marriage from men and stuff means better sex in their mind. And then when a wife says no, and it says no 10 times in a week, they start looking for another person. Men are evil when it comes to sex, period. All men. And I'm going to explain this before I go any further. The word is called empathic. Empathic, for the real definition, is being able to see other people's thoughts and feelings and emotions. All right. I was empathic for 1.5 years. I didn't ask for it. I suddenly had it. And it was the most horrible time of my life. Why? I could walk anywhere on the street, going in somebody's house, wherever I was. And if I looked at them, I could actually hear them saying, well, I want to go swimming. I want to have sex. I want to do this. I want to do that. And now people say, well, you're just making it up. I did something once every day to make sure I wasn't making it up. I was walking down the street and this guy turned around and said, oh, I think I'm going to go do this. And I go, excuse me, you're really going to do that with who? What do you hear? What do you know? I said, you would really do that with, and they go, how do you know that? So I always proved it to myself that I wasn't making up all these ideas that I'm hearing these people's voices. But again, nobody's walking down the street. I believe in God. I'm going to do everything God wants me to do. I know what God wants me to do. Nobody's walking around saying that. I mean, the Dalai Lamas are praying to deities. Sure. People can pray to things. Go ahead,
What
TJ.
do you?
Oh, man, it's going to be hard. TJ.
Well, we got the last 15 minutes. What do you eat on a regular basis? This microbiome and what we eat as humanoids to stay alive on the planet.
You know what I eat to stay alive?
What?
Sugar and salt. I go against every theory out there. I have more poisons put in my body than most people will ever. I did fire dancing for 25 years, putting gasoline in my mouth and my stomach. All right. I live on sugar. I have probably more sugar than 90% of the people on this planet, for real. All right. I'm 71. I didn't want to live to 50. I did everything in my life. I was a fire dancer for almost 3/4 of my life, meaning I was putting lighter fluid and gasoline in my mouth, laying on a bed of nails, having people stand on me. I did all those things. But
well, Tommy, with the way that we're talking on our spiritual talk show for this series weekly, we're going to hit on several topics. And, you know, there's a lot of people that follow us. Obviously, there's many that other people won't see now that, you know, we can share. But is there something on the spiritual path? You know, when I was living in Hawaii, people were trying to tell me what to eat and not to eat.
TJ, I just want to tell that person my cookie's right here. And I'll show you because you might not believe me. All right.
What is it?
A cookie. It's a chocolate chip with Reese's Pieces in it.
Oh,
butter. All right.
That's your
Every
friend.
night I have about 10 or 15 of them. I have them here for the day. Plus I have brownies every morning with my coffee that I use.
People want to know you personally. That's why they come to be a part of us and to be with us in our club.
What I want to tell you, TJ. All right. Jesus said,
you do have Reese's Pieces once in a while.
Every day.
What?
Here's the thing. Now, Jesus said, and this is from Jesus, no spiritual or health nut. It's not what you put in your body. It's what comes out of it. Now, you have to think about what he meant when he said that, because it's a very critical, important statement for all people to know. All right. Now, and there's a lot of things that could come out of your body. You go to the bathroom, you could curse, you could throw up, a lot of different things. And look at any one of them that comes out of your body. That's good. All right. So there's a lot of things that go against. I mean, now they're trying to say what they gave Jesus when he was born, the poor frankincense, myrrh, gold, and
oh yeah, that's in our hymnals.
I know, but they're saying they're spiritual healers. They can heal anything on this planet. Scientists are coming out and saying gold, this and that, and it's the combination of all of them are incredible healing things for the body. I'm not going to debate that. But these wise men came and gave it to Jesus when he was born. So, you know, it depends.
That's in our cultural stories anyway.
You could eat anything you want because you're going to die when you're ready to go. Karma is much more important than anything else in your life. If you can understand the word karma, all right, it's cause and effect. What you create, you pay for. Now, when Christians turned that around and said, well, I can go to my priest and ask for forgiveness. Jesus never said that. When Jesus worked with a person and they were healed, he was going, you were healed by your own faith. But what did he tell sinners? Go out and sin no more. He didn't say, come back next week and I'll heal you again. All right. If people would have followed what they preached and said, the world would be incredible right now. But I just left friendship with my cousin Because she goes, well, everybody does bad things. I said, no, not everybody does. And you don't keep doing them. And Jesus said, when you make a mistake, if you're aware of God, you can't make it again. All right. So there's a lot of laws that get broken on every religion that's out here. And that's why they're here. In Atlantis, which we'll get into deep one day, there were 9 races. 5 races attained spiritual awareness and left. Black, red, yellow, and white stayed here because they didn't attain that.
Now, how did you learn all this?
Because I was there. We're not going to go into that right now. But I'm aware of all my past lives.
This is your experiences. Okay.
All right. But I have people that I agree with or work with. Even Terry Cassidy. We did a show because she was in Atlantis too. She was there when it was destroyed. I wasn't there when it was destroyed. But people can confirm it. And I was also told I will meet everybody that's alive in this physical reality that were in any of my past lives in this lifetime.
You know, my album is called Atlantis Oracle for a reason. But that's you can only get it on YouTube free. So anybody wants to check out Atlantis Oracle, it's pretty weird, but enjoy the past lives.
Go ahead, Tom. But if you've watched this, please send our link to everybody else so they can watch it. Hopefully we'll get to more people listening, people with questions. Like I said, I answer every question I get sooner or later.
Well, tell them how to reach you.
Well, we might not be able to get it on a show, especially near the end of the show. No, I mean, I'll put my link up, but I'll put it up in the site.
You mean your AOL?
My AOL address.
Are you not allowed to say AOL?
Yeah, I can. On Skype, it's Hawksblood11. I don't like typing. I'd rather talk to a person than type.
How do they get in touch with you on Skype?
You just type Hawksblood11 and send it to me, and it says, do you want to be friends? I click yes, and then they can talk to me. It's that simple.
So you leave your Skype on because you stay on your computer a lot, don't you?
It's always on. It's on my cell phone, too.
Wow.
So I always get any people calling me on Skype. I have a student in Italy, and he's 12 hours different than me, so it's really hard to have a conversation with him at the right times. But again, I'm getting a lot of perverted calls. I mean, sex calls a lot on Skype. But see, when you friend somebody, if you want to get in touch, if you get in touch with me, you say, Tommy, all right. You would say, Hawksblood11, looking for friends, asking to be friends, and then if I click yes, we're friends. It's that simple. But on the other hand,
your Facebook location, social media.
Okay, everybody can get me on any site. To Tommy Hawksblood or Hawksblood11 or 1. 1 is what I'm basically doing everything on, Hawksblood1. All right. I mean, I got 3 email sites. 1 is How to See God, and 1 is the Truth in God Only. So, yeah, I keep them on a spiritual tone. My webpage is How to See God. You can pull it up to that as well. So, my life doesn't change. My name doesn't change. I stick with it. My native name is Hawksblood. And I've been using it for a long time. Every book I put out is under Hawksblood.
You know, there's a Tommy Hawksblood character in a comic book now. It didn't used to be, but I pulled up your name on Google, and it came up with a Tommy Hawksblood in a comic book character.
Check the age of that, how old it is. If it's Hawksblood, there was a Hawksblood before me. That's why I had to take Hawksblood1. I just got Hawksblood on Skype back, so he pulled out a Skype. But I know he wrote a book. I don't know if it was a kid's book or what kind of book it was. But that was a long time ago. And I was thinking of saying, you want to tell me your name? But it doesn't matter. Names are just names.
No, this was an excellent, when I read it, if I didn't misunderstand it, Tommy, is inside someone's building of a comic book was a character named Tommy Hawksblood. And that's only been like in the last week. But, you know, for years, as long as I've known you, you've had that name.
Well,
I didn't know it was a character until recently as well.
You know, you can steal people's names. I was trying to make friends with the girl that played Wonder Woman. Now, there's
Linda
5
Gardner?
people. No, the real Wonder Woman now. Gal Gadot, the one that played woman in the past movies out in the theater.
Oh,
Well,
okay, yeah.
he has 5
The
people
newer one.
using, huh? The what?
Linda Carter was the first I knew
Oh,
about.
well, yeah, but I'm talking about now. The Wonder Woman that did all the series
The
that are out there.
movies. Okay.
But basically, there's 5 people using her name and using her pictures, claiming to be her.
Ooh.
I made friends with 4 of them, and they were all liars.
Oh,
Uh,
goodness.
so, and after 2 months, one finally decided to ask me for money. All right. One asked me to buy a VIP card, and I could be a personal member. I could come out to see her, have dinner with her, and have my pictures taken with her. The other one says she's in school. She needs money for college. She didn't tell me that. She said, but I forced her to send me a real picture of herself, and she was not the person she said she was. But she still asked me for money. But again, these people, if you don't watch Catfish, you won't understand how bad it is, and it's really bad right now.
Well,
Because
tell people what catfish is.
Catfish, it was
Besides
a
a
guy. He
fish
was
we eat.
basically he was on the internet with a girl, and they talked for a long while. They said, "Oh, we gotta meet." But when they finally met, it wasn't the person he was talking to. Now he created a series. It's on TV all the time now, and it's great. But he goes out of the way with his partner, a person he works with, to find these people that are catfishing these other people, and they fly out to wherever they are and introduce themselves to them, and then they make them say who and why they did it. It's really hardcore because these people could be together on a friendship level, thinking they're going to get married and never even saw each other on video. The person sending them money, doing this, that, and well, I love you, and yeah, blah blah. It's called catfish. All right, and be careful with who you try to date, who you think you're dating, or who you think you're really talking to. It could be a guy. It could be anything. And that's what they find out. And I hate to say this, sometimes it's a super big woman when they show a picture of this beautiful little girl. So, and people believe that they're talking to that person. I'm telling you, these people, when they started talking to me, gal, and she goes, I'm going to bed. And she sent me a picture of her laying in bed. And they use her pictures on everything. One of them says, do this. All right, take a picture. Stick your tongue out and do that. And I did. And she sent me a picture back. But all those pictures are taken from her file of pictures that she has of gal. All right. And these people stock up on every picture they can get of this woman because whatever the situation is, they throw that picture in and saying, that's me. So it's a bad thing, people. It's a little bit off subject, but be careful. We get pulled into a lot of things.
Well,
So,
what do you would want this spiritual talk show to be about weekly? You want to
well,
show up every
I'm going to show
Tuesday?
up. I'm going to show up every week, as long as I don't have to go to the doctor or the hospital. But here's the thing: it's about you finding your spiritual foundation and moving in that, because it's not going to help me. It's not going to do anything for me. I'm not asking you for money. I'm just asking you to start debating what you believe is true. Read the Bible. I read the Bible. You can become a preacher. But when I went to become a preacher, he said, well, you're going to donate 40% of your salary to the church. I said, no, I'll donate 60 or 80 when I can, and I have to take money to pay my rent. And, well, then just sign for 40%. I said, that's a percentage. God never said 40%. And a lot of things, a lot of churches and stuff, it's 40%, which is a high amount of money, no matter where you are, what you do. But in the old days, they had it. All right. But what I want to give to you is techniques to work with, to find your truth, not to believe everything I say, because I'm aware of what I know, and you can become aware of what you know, which is much more important than what I know. So I'm not trying to brainwash you or convince you that this is what you're going to see, because you're going to see a different deity, you're going to see a different angel, your guides are going to be different. Very few people have the same guides. Like I said, there's many guides out there, and everybody has one or two guides. So we got 8 billion people, so there's multiple billions and billions of guides floating around in there ready to help people. So, but then you got demons and aliens playing the opposite, and they all have a different mission on in this reality. So, what I want you to find out is, first we got to find, then How do you challenge something that comes to you? What are they? How do you know that they say who they are? Well, people that see the Anunnaki, not the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki, no, wrong word, not the tall whites, the Nordics, because they're dressed in white, they're tall and have blue eyes, right away they're Jesus. They are not. They travel on ships with the reptilians. So people, what appears to you should always be challenged. And then there's another thing you'll learn, which is simple, is how to see a person's aura. Nobody can lie to change their aura.
Well, let's save that for next week because we're out of time. Have
Well,
you seen, let me ask you, Tommy, have you seen Resident Alien?
I started watching it.
Did you?
Yeah. It's
Yeah. At first, I wish they hadn't started with that strange beginning, but that sort of threw me off. But then after you get through that, folks, it's okay. It's sort of a comedy. You develop a taste for it, but
you have to like it. When somebody's bad and they make them good, and then you like them, and then they're still bad, it's kind of weird. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm all the way caught up where the guy leaves in the spaceship up, but
I don't
this
like
is
bad
a
things.
spiritual talk, so I guess
People
we're spirits and we're talking. So
remember. The other thing is, who do you hang out with? Where do you go? What do you do for entertainment? All those
right.
things stop you from moving forward. But until
Well, we'll
next
keep
time,
working on being better humans, folks. We're still alive at our age. We're baby boomer age, but we had many years of radio. Please look it up, TJMRCT Radio. And you've got Tommy Hawksblood here. And Tommy, what's been your YouTube channel so they can find you on YouTube?
Tommy Hawksblood. All
Okay.
our shows that we did are still up on YouTube. All right, just type my name and it'll find you. I mean, you'll be able to see any show that I do. I hope this is. I don't know if this is going to go directly into my site because I put it in mine as well, so it should be there. So
Well,
if you find,
I made sure I hit it where you could download it and record it. So is there a button we can push? But we can talk
well,
about that when we
well,
get
like I
off.
said, when you go onto YouTube, type Tommy Hawksblood and friend me. It'll pull up every show that I did.
Okay. And same
YouTube.
thing with Theresa J. Morris Community is me, Theresa J. Morris. But
Well,
I've got ACO Club and TJMRCT, and I've had so many over the years that I've got thousands out there, folks.
TJ,
Ascension Center, Psychic Channel Network, you
YouTube
name it.
has been attacking me as much as they can. They take a show down like every other month or every month.
Well, this is live and this is really us. And we're only going to do good things because we're only supporting people for educational purposes. So just watch your language, Tommy. Let's don't talk about anything medical or real
We can't say
political.
anything medical, people.
Yeah,
That's sure.
look up the words we're not allowed to say to keep our YouTube channels. Folks, we appreciate you joining us and hopefully tell other friends about us, please. And tell them to come. And if they'd like a chance to come on, we can send them the email, the link, and we can only have a certain amount. But Tommy, let Tommy know or me, and we'll let each other know to expect it the next week or something. But for right now, it's going to be us sharing with you. So we can build our open source education. We still have ACO Club and Ascension Center Church and the Universal Life. We're still with Modesto and all of that. We still honor you guys as metaphysicians and all of our Invisible College and ACE Metaphysical Institute, ACE Folklife, if you're into myths and legends, anthropology, archaeology, and we're going to keep our own databases. Now, Tommy, are you going to download this into your database, into your computer to keep a copy?
No.
So it'll just be wherever on live stream?
My stream will be on, no, it'll be saved on YouTube right now.
Okay.
But it will be on Facebook, on my site on Facebook. It'll be on my site on X as well. All right.
Okay.
And it's up to people to watch it.
I pay for the back end three, but we can do up to 8 at a time. But let us know.
I believe what's important is what's said today, not yesterday or 10,000 years ago either.
So we're going to be very and real and in the now, right?
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, then we'll see you next week. Thank you, Tommy. I really enjoyed it. I'll see you next week then, folks. Thank you, Tommy. Good job. Good show, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. End stream. Here we go. Ending